The 1990s were a golden era for the NBA. Legends like Michael Jordan dominated the court, but a new generation was on the rise. Players with electrifying skills and charisma to match. Jason Kidd, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant. They redefined the game and captured the hearts of fans worldwide. Among this wave of young talent was a forward with a silky smooth jumper and a game built to score against anyone. Jamal Mashburn.
A 6'8" freshman from New York City, number 24, Jamal Mashburn.
This player is part of the college team that beat the out of the dream team in the scrimmage. And is one of the most underrated players of the 90s era. He was too quick for large defenders. He was too big for small defenders. Dropping a 50 ball on the Bulls while being guarded by Scottie Pippen, one of the best defenders of all time.
Jamal Mashburn dancing on the head of Scottie Pippen here in this third quarter.
Mashburn, body to body with Eric Snow. Man, I'm telling you.
Here's Pack. Pack kicks it back. Mashburn setting up for three.
But while many of his peers became household names, Mashburn's story is different. This is the story of a player forgotten in the pages of the game's history book. Born and raised in the Bronx, New York, Jamal Mashburn grew up surrounded by the hustle and grit of the city. Basketball wasn't just a game, it was an escape. By the time a young Mash reached high school, his talent was undeniable, and everyone in the city knew he was destined to be something special.
And one of our players, Darryl Parsons, said to me, "Lou, I got a guy, he can play. He's a big guy." I says, "My God, who is he?" He says, "His name is Jamal Mashburn, and I'll bring him tomorrow." And he blocked shots, and he passed the ball, and he did all the things that he hadn't been playing ball that long, and he was terrific.
I was in the park watching a Rucker game, and a guy came up to me. He said, "Tom, I got this 13-year-old kid that you might could use." I said, "How big is he?" He said, "Well, he's about 6'7". I said, 6'7". I said, "He's not." I said, "You ain't got no 13-year-old 6'7".
By the time he graduated, Jamal was one of the top high school prospects in the country, earning a scholarship to one of the game's blue bloods, the University of Kentucky.
I think when I came back from college, a lot of people didn't want me to go to University of Kentucky. They wanted me to stay in the Big East and go to Syracuse or St. John's and everything like that. But I wanted to choose a different path.
At Kentucky, Mashburn thrived under legendary coach Rick Pitino. The Wildcats became a powerhouse, and Jamal was their star.
Then I went to Coach Pitino. What made me kind of look at him differently was when I was in Harlem, he would come to my house and actually talk to me. And I said to him, "I don't just want to be a basketball player. I want to carry a briefcase."
Yeah.
And he was the first coach that sat in my living room and didn't laugh at me.
As a college player.
A scoring forward who was ahead of his time, able to dominate both inside and out. His impact was undeniable, so much so that he would lead the Wildcats to the Final Four in 1993.
Under fire, the way he carries himself, he's a wonderful, wonderful family man. He just has a total package.
And to him, I said, "Yo, if I'm a 4-year player, I'm a 4-year player. But if I'm a guy that can turn pro, you got to let me go." So that was my agreement with him.
Let's find out who Dallas' pick is. Here's David Stern.
In the 1993 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Jamal Mashburn from the University of Kentucky.
Drafted 4th overall by the Dallas Mavericks, Mashburn wasted no time proving he belonged. As a rookie, he averaged 19 points per game, becoming one of the most dynamic scorers in the league from day one.
Well, Jamal Mashburn is 6'8", 240. We're talking about a tremendously talented young man. Not only can he post up and play inside for you, but he has the range of the best small forwards in the league. This young man is a three-point shooter, not from college range, but from NBA range. He can take it off the dribble. This guy right now, you're not being stuck with anyone. You are getting a premier top talent in this draft. And we all know over the last 3 days, he also could have been the #1 pick in this draft.
Alongside another rising star in Jason Kidd and the talented Jim Jackson, the trio would form one of the game's great young cores in the 90s. Injuries would force Jamal to play just 18 games in the 95-96 season, and the following year Mashburn would be dealt out east, finding a new home with the Miami Heat.
A lot of people don't know this story, and I've shared it a couple times, is I actually forced a trade out of Dallas. I had just came off microfracture surgery. They had just got Michael Finley. They were highlighting him and different things like that. So I went to Frank Zaccanelli and was like, hey man, y'all moving in a certain direction. It's time for me to move on. And me and him had an honest conversation. He was like, Jamal, where would you like to go? And that's very rare in itself.
Yeah.
And I said, I got 2 places I would like to go to extend my career and be a part of a winner. The first was the Indiana Pacers with Larry Brown. And the second was Miami Heat.
In South Beach, Mashburn became a key piece of a playoff contender, joining Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning on a promising Heat squad. In 1997, they would be eliminated by Michael Jordan and the Bulls in search of their 5th NBA championship, something that sparked a disappointing trend of failure in the postseason.
That was the team that I felt we could develop into a championship contender. There was only one problem. That you had Michael Jordan in the Eastern Conference, the Chicago Bulls. And sometimes you can do the best job of anybody, but there's still one team that's so good, it's going to be in your way.
By 2000, Jamal had become the primary scorer for Miami, but yet another early exit in the playoffs would lead to the end of his stint with the Heat. Mashburn would fully hit his stride in the early 2000s, finding a home in Charlotte. The Queen City squad featured a talented young guard by the name of Baron Davis, and within the first 2 seasons with the Hornets, Mashburn had proven to be one of the game's most dominant scorers.
Mashburn quiets them a bit. The free throw line that's made the difference, and that's what Mashburn is trying to keep up.
Jamal Mashburn might have had the best crossover that I've ever had. The guard,
dog, that was tough.
Nobody was doing it like this, but Jamal Mashburn
from the DC Cats, right?
Not only put strength and brute and agility with it, but then he had a jump shot to come out of it with. Like he had
Chaney again, the good D, but Mashburn with the better shot.
In 2003, Jamal would earn his first All-Star selection, averaging a career-high 24 points per game. Having made the All-NBA team for the first time in his career, it seemed that Mashburn had finally found his place in the association.
We were working out or something like that, and he watched us play pickup basketball, and Paul Silas pulled me to the side. And he was like, hey, young fella, let me tell you something. He said, the handcuffs is off here, go hoop. Because I was coming from a system in Pat Riley where we slowed it down, you had your position and all that stuff. And it wasn't a lot of opportunity for me to just go play. And Paul Silas says, hey man, this ain't Miami no more. We need you to hoop, man. We need you to be an all-star.
But despite leading the Hornets to their first playoff appearance in New Orleans, injuries would once again stand in his way. Jamal had continued his high-level play entering the 2004 season, but as had been the case throughout his career, Mashburn's body couldn't keep up with his talent. Chronic knee injuries, which had plagued him throughout his career, would finally take their toll. In an effort to save his career, Jamal opted for microfracture surgery in his right knee, a risk-filled procedure that not many players recover from. He would be traded to Philadelphia after sitting out nearly 2 seasons, but never suited up for the 76ers, instead being forced into retirement at just 31 years old. Jamal Mashburn's career is a tale of what could have been. A player with all-star talent, hampered by injuries, and whose legacy is overshadowed by a time period that featured some of the greatest players in history. Forgotten by many, but remembered by those who truly love the game, Jamal Mashburn dominated with a skill set that was well before his time, a force that deserves his place in the NBA's history books. From humble beginnings in the Bronx to dominating the NBA at its peak of talent, Mash is one of the true great hoopers to ever step on the floor. He's probably one of your favorite players' favorites, and that alone is why Jamal Mashburn can't ever be forgotten.